Really quick before we get started, let's talk about a couple of things real quick. First off, one of the things that we are really going to be pushing is that you guys are cut this off for a second. Trying to use your calculator as much as possible, and so uh, if you have your calculator right here. Marquisiana, you're probably going to be a little bit better because I know that you're coming back, next week. And so I know that you get to use it. But Kevin, number one, if you have not gotten this downloaded, so you need to look on your desktop and see if this is downloaded onto your desktop, then you need to come up to the school at some point. And it can be during the day, it can be at nighttime, it doesn't matter. All you got to do is sit in the parking lot and log on and let this download. It will open up slowly the first time that you open it up, but then once it opens up, it'll be good after that. Once you get it open, there is a calculator right here that you're going to want to hit. So you don't want this, you want this right here. And then once you have that, then you're going to be able to use this calculator. This is the only calculator that we will use from here on out. Okay, we will no longer use Desmos. This is the calculator you will use on the STAR. You need to be extremely familiar with it. So for today, we are continuing to talk about the reasonable domain and range that we started yesterday. And then we're also adding in scatter plots. Give me 1 second. Oh, yep, I do want my credit card back. Sure? Sorry. Sure? My daughter who's in college was threatening to steal my credit card. All right, so whenever we are looking at this today, some of this stuff is going to be a little bit tougher, okay? And so if it's a little bit tougher, just like on all tough stuff, it's okay if you're struggling with this and you're like, yeah, I'm going to get C on this. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are, if you get it, then that's awesome. But like I said, please don't get frustrated. And then at the bottom of this, we got a lot of easy questions, and that's what we love is the easy questions. Okay. So the first thing we're going to start with today is what are called scatter plots. And scatter plots are on graphs. Hopefully you've seen them before in middle school, but they don't usually form straight lines. However, they do tend to go a general direction. And so you can kind of see here that, that these dots right here are kind of going in this upward direction right here. Now, today I have an advantage that you guys don't have. I can draw on this. If you have a sheet of paper, you could draw on this as well. Now, we did find out the program that y'all will use to take the STAR test. You are allowed to highlight, which is important because that means, we pass out highlighters in class. And so you will be able to highlight on the STAR test. You also have the ability to write and draw on your test. So what I'm doing right now, you will have the ability, except you'll be using your, computer as to where I have this fancy little thing I get to draw on that makes it easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of draw the direction of this data. And I'm going to draw this line that kind of is in the middle. It's what we call the line of best fit. And so I'm going to kind of draw this. Wow, that line looked totally different than the line I drew today. And it's going to screw up my answer. So, wow, how come my line was so much better today? As I'm looking through this.
I don't know if I'm right, but like from right here, it looks like our answer would either be D or B.
Somewhere, okay, I kind of like what you're looking at this. So this is a little bit closer to what I drew today. I love what you're saying with this. And so I'm going to tell you that I don't like this question after I put this in and we worked on this today. I don't like this for a couple of reasons, okay? And so I'll get into those reasons as we start looking at stuff, but I absolutely love what you're looking at right there. So the first thing I don't like about this question is, to me, these are all too close to each other. I don't like that. Okay. If you want answers that are this close to each other, then you shouldn't be going by tens. Okay. The second reason I don't like this, on the majority of tests. So let's take a break here for a second and let's look. What are we talking about here? We're talking about studying, how many hours we study, and we're talking about grades here. So we need to know what all these are about. And this is data for an exam, a test. Usually, what is the highest grade you can get on a test?
100.
100. So to me, I don't really like this. Now, when I was looking at this last night, I was kind of bad. I didn't really look at this and think about this. I just followed the data. And right now, the data, if I study 4 hours, looks like it's going to be above 100. And so last night, when I created the answer for this, I was like, oh, yeah, well, it's definitely not going to be 90 and it's definitely not going to be 100. Okay. And so, you know, and then today when we were talking about this, I was like, wait a second, wouldn't the highest grade really be 100 unless there was bonus points? Well, it doesn't really say that there's bonus points here. And so I don't like this because most prediction things, they extend off the graph and you can predict up here. And so if I had it to do again, I would remove this question right here. Matter of fact, maybe after lunch, I might just go and remove it. I don't know. But anyways, we're going to talk about it for right now. And so for right now, when we take a look at this, this is kind of tough because it goes off the graph. You know, if we're looking at this right here would be about 110. And it's tough to tell. Would that be about 105, 110? I don't like how close these are to each other. And so I'm going to tell you that last night when I drew my line looked closer to 110. So we're going to put a C on this one right here today. Okay. Even though right now I kind of feel like mine is at closer to 105 right now. And so
it looks so close. That's why I was like, it might be 105, but like, I don't know.
Here's what I'll tell you. I
think it's 100.
Do what?
I think it's dead on 100.
You got it as dead on 100, don't you? And
because so, when I was taught, I took the 2. All right, can I get 2 over the line and 2 under my line? And then I'm going to draw from
between them right there.
I'm going to draw from 20, the point at 20 and the point at 70, and I'm going to go straight to there, and it takes me right to 100.
To 100, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, it's, to me, what I don't like about this question, and this is why there's a good chance I'm going to get rid of it in the next, is that it is, these are too close to each other. I don't really care for that. On the STAAR test, I think that they would probably put it like at 150. They would probably have 85. You know, they would, and usually they try to make it on a test where it's obvious. Okay. I think on the next 2 that we do, it is a little bit more obvious. What Coach Shavers was saying so I drew mine in the middle, but I didn't really focus in the exact 2 dots. So what Shavers was saying would probably give us a line that is definitely closer to 100. And so, you know, it's one of those things that especially when there's more dots, it's even harder to pick out those 2 dots that are in the middle. And answers are over. That's why they use the word predict. And so when they use the word predict, it's usually, you know, it's not an exact science. And so they shouldn't be giving us answers that are a lot closer. Maybe if I do what Shavers says right there and pick these 2, it'll give me closer to 100, and 100 would be the right answer. But then that totally screws up what I did last night because I put in the answer C. So, like I said, my biggest issue with this question is how close are these are to each other. And so, and you can see here, I am not the most brilliant math mind that there is. And so you can see Shavers is a little bit better at math than me and knows a little bit more precisely how to do this right here. And, you know, so you can see why I consider this to be a little bit tougher, even though maybe it's easier than you know, it's not the easiest thing, but it's not terrible.
I just think you could make an argument for 100, 105, yes. Or 110. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and put C. I'm telling you right now that C is the answer I have in the thing. I'll probably won't even count this first question because, you know, kids that aren't working with us, they could be putting 100 and you know, so I don't know. I may not even count that first question. All right. So let's take a look at the next one. Now, this one, to me, this is what a normal test question would look like. Not that they would draw this line, but to me, the answers are a lot more obvious. And so here they did draw a line. Notice that this line right here only barely touches 1 point right here. Okay. And so this is what we call the line of best fit. You won't always have this line, but I think you can see here that they're asking us, based on this trend line, what is the best prediction? So it's a prediction again of 30 students. So here's 30.
It's going down.
So it's definitely going down, and we're going to look at 30 students. So the number of students I would predict would end up about right here. Would y'all agree with that? About right there?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's eliminate everything we know it's not.
It's like 135.
Exactly. It's so much easier. It's definitely not 90. It's definitely not 180, which is up here. And then when we look at these two, 150 looks a little bit too high. So in between, this would be somewhere about 135, 140, you know, somewhere in there. It definitely looks like this would be closer. So this is usually what you would see on a test where, you know, okay, 150 would be close, but it's a lot easier to tell that 135 is the better answer. Okay. And so this is what I would expect on a test, and C would be your answer here. All right. Here's another one where I think this is really what you would see more on a test. So if Jane watches 2 hours of television, what is your best prediction? So this is watching television. Notice you need to know the names of these here, okay? And so when we look at this, here's 2 hours. So we go up, and you can see that there are 2 dots right here. Now, there's other dots, and you kind of see a trend here, okay? But I'm really going to focus in on
So
these.
it has to be above, I mean, more than 85. I mean,
So this right. So let's look at this. What do you think this is going to be right here? This dot.
that's like 95, 90.
85. 95 would be above 90. So this would be 85. Right?
Sorry, I got.
No, you're good. You're good. And
woke
so
up.
what would this dot right here? That would be about 75. Would y'all agree? Somewhere around there? Okay. So we know that it's not going to be 85 or 75 because we already got dots for those right there. It's probably not going to be 90. And so what would you predict it's going to be? Well, we would probably predict it's going to be right in the middle, which would be 80. Okay. So that right there is a little bit clearer. Now, could you argue that at 2 hours that they could very easily still make an 85 or 75? Sure. But the idea behind this is that you're using these dots that were, you know, close by, and you're kind of continuing. I am not having very good luck today. It's harder to draw this, I think, sitting down than it is for me standing up. I'm just going to go from this dot to that dot right there. So you're kind of using that right there. You're kind of drawing this imaginary line and seeing about where it would end up. Once again, it's not an exact science. And I could see, you know, that's why I don't necessarily say this is easy. You know, I think a lot of y'all could do this, but maybe it's not easy. If nothing else, maybe you could narrow it down to, you know, 2 or something like that. But I will say on a test, I think it becomes a lot more obvious. All right. So this is what we started doing yesterday, okay? This right here is giving us this big word problem right here. And I see the keyword domain. So this is domain and range is something that we want to you know, we need to be good at. But we really want to be good at domain and range of a graph or of a set of numbers. Domain and range of a word problem, which is called reasonable domain and range, is a lot tougher. But we're going to give you some tricks today. And if you follow these tricks, I think you can at least narrow some stuff down. okay? So when it's multiple choice, which on a test it should be, we want to take care of these tricks first, all right? So these are test taking skills, test taking tricks. So first off, what does domain mean? Domain is the X's. Look at your answers immediately. The X's are not D because it's got a Y right there, okay? So here's the next trick. Almost always in these problems, they will tell you what the X is, okay? So if you're looking at this, it says that the distance traveled in miles, Y, okay? So the distance traveled in miles is Y, and it says was a function of time, the bike minutes is X. So it's telling you that X is minutes. So we just said domain is X's, and domain is X's means domain is minutes. Now I want you to look, where do you see a number for minutes here? Right here, 24 minutes.
24.
So we know that this
A.
has A and B both have the number 24, doesn't it? So that means that C is not dealing with minutes. Therefore, C is not domain. So even though this is kind of tougher, we've now narrowed it down to, you know, these two answers right here. Okay, now this is the tough part, you know, but you've got a 50-50 shot of getting it right now. So we talked yesterday, we want to know if we are measuring something or if we are counting something. Now,
Measuring it.
very good. If we are measuring, then this is continuous. Okay, and continuous data looks like this right here. It says it goes from 0 to 24. Counting is discrete data, and discrete data is when they just list it. Okay, so if we are measuring, so think about this, minutes, we measure, like you measure it with the clock, and or you measure it with a stopwatch, right? But does time jump or does time go continuously?
Continuous.
Continuously. Now, I know that when you're on a Zoom with Coach Settles, you wish that it would jump, right? It would jump right to the end. But time,
No,
unfortunately for you guys, time is going continuously. And so if it's continuous, then this is the continuous answer right here. It goes from 0 to 24. Now, that maybe wasn't as bad as what it was yesterday when we were trying to look at it. Okay. So when there's multiple choice, then we got some stuff that we can take advantage of when there's domain. So when it's a word problem, guys, that's a nasty word problem right there. But the word domain, always look at the question. The question is almost right above the answer. So you go look at your answers, look at the sentence before, and usually you'll see if there's any keywords. So that keyword domain right there is what said, hey, let's see if we can, you know, use some test taking skills. So the answer was B. So you're going to put B on that question right there. All right, the next one. So look at the question right before all of this, and what do we see? Domain. What letter is domain again? X. So immediately go look at all your answers. Can we mark off anything?
A.
Very good. A has Y equals, so we can get rid of that. All right, so there's nothing else that we can mark off for this second. So before, you're right, but so let me explain why. So when we look back, is there something that explains what X is? Well, it says X is the number of problems and Y is the resulting grade. So Y is the grade and X is just the number of problems. So when we look at
shutting
do what?
off, I guess. I don't know. It's saying that my connection is bad.
No, don't worry about that. You're good. So so right here it says 20 or 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way to 100. That's grades right there. So grades would be Y. So we don't want Y. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that is the number of problems. How many problems you do? I did 5 problems. I did 6 problems. Okay. And so in that case
This
now
is
we
most likely gonna be D because we're counting and not measuring.
you are doing awesome at this. Shavers, I hope you've texted, your boss because, your boss needs to see this right here. So
My boss is too busy adding other things she wants us to do.
oh man, because your boss would be impressed right now. So
My
you are
boss might get that question wrong.
So you're exactly right, Chastity. We're not measuring the number of problems, we're counting the number of problems. And so when you measure, like you measure with a measuring cup, we're not pouring problems into a measuring cup, or we're not measuring them with a tape measure. We're counting them: 1 problem, 2 problem, 3 problem. So the answer would be D. That's exactly right. So if you can eliminate, because something is a domain, which makes it an X, then you can get a couple of these eliminated, and then if you can figure out if you're measuring or not, boom, you got this right here. Okay. Sorry, we got someone trying to enter, and I want to see if their audio comes on. All right. So take a look at this one. Now, unfortunately, this
Range,
it does say range, but it also says what else?
domain.
Domain. So when we look at this, we have to make a decision on, do we want to focus in domain first or range? So me personally, I like dealing with domain first. Now, notice we are not going to look at range at all. If you look at both of these, it gets too confusing. Okay, so we're only going to look at one at a time. All right, Shavers, can you do me a favor?
This is measuring.
Yeah, what do you need?
Good. Would you type a message to Raul, because it doesn't show that his audio is connected, and tell him if he can't connect to the audio, I will put a YouTube video on Canvas that he can watch later.
He's unmuted right now.
Oh, hey, okay, he just unmuted him. So Raul, just to let you know,
hey, he just typed in that his camera and his mic are not working.
Okay, that's fine. As long as
Raul, can you hear us? He can hear.
Okay. So Raul, the one thing I want to make sure you know is we are not taking pictures of our answers today. What we're doing is we're plugging them into the forms. The answers do matter. So I'm actually taking a grade on this. If you work with us, obviously you'll get 100, but you did miss the beginning. And so when we get done, since I don't have another class after this, I will go back over the beginning, okay? All right. So when we're looking at just the domain, so we're looking at domain, what letter is domain?
X.
All right. So all of the domains here say X's. So we need to go back and say, well, what are the X's? So the X's are quarts. And so we need to find a number in here that talks about quarts.
6.
All right, 6 quarts. So if it's not dealing with the number 6, it's not domain. And so F definitely deals with the number 6 right here. So F looks good. What about G?
It has a 6, but it's not the number.
Yeah, it's 1.6, right? Not 6. And so
that would be the range.
That's exactly right. So we can go ahead and mark it off. I want you to see that if you just focus in on domain, it's a lot easier to see that. If you look at domain and range at the same time, the numbers just get too confusing. So all we're doing is focusing on domain and saying, okay, does the domain have that 6? H, the domain has that 6 right there. Okay. What about J? No, it has 1.6, but not just that 6. So J does not have it either. Do y'all see how using those test taking skills now has taken it to something that Chastity's already taken care of? Chastity's already given us the answer to this. Okay. Is this measuring or counting?
Measuring.
It's measuring 6 quarts. So if you have a quart of milk, you would pour it into a measuring cup. Okay. You wouldn't count as the milk was coming out, unless, I mean, I guess for some of us,
That would be
might-
X.
yeah, if you pour the milk and you can count the milk, you need to throw the milk away. If it's coming out in clumps and you're going 1 clump, 2 clumps, 3 clumps, that's bad. Throw that milk away. So on this, we would measure it. So measuring is written continuously like this right here, not counting numbers. And so it's not going to be H. So yes, you are correct. It is going to be F. So you would put F in here. And let me say this because we have some new people that came on. It doesn't matter if you put a capital F or a lowercase f. I put both of those in there. Okay. All right. So let's clear that. All right. So now we get to some easy questions. And I might be a little bit behind on time, so I'm going to go ahead and go quickly through these. First off, y is not by itself. So it's not y equals mx plus b, but x and y are not on the same side. So anytime x and y are not on the same side, then the number in front of x, even though there's parentheses, is still the slope. Okay, so this is still the slope right here. So the answer to this one right here would be D.
-4.
Very good. So the rule is, though, x and y cannot be on the same side. If x and y are on the same side, we have to get y by itself to get the slope. Okay. All right. Look at the next one. All right. Once again, they give us slope, but here y is by itself. So slope is always located in front of what?
It would have to be B or D.
Very good. So this right here has a positive
No,
3.
it would be B.
Very good. So, and let me explain what she's seeing here. She saw that these were positive 3s in front of x. That's not right. But both of these have the correct slope. Then we call this number right here the y-intercept. It is not with x. And the y-intercept was a positive 3, and she saw that this would be positive 3. So this is not your answer. So the answer would be B. Very good.
Those are the gimme ones. We want those.
Yes, we need those right there. Absolutely. All right. So this one, we do also consider a gimme one, but we're going to have to put a little bit more work into this one. Now, we see y equals, but we see slope right here. We love it when we see slope because you can eliminate what?
C and D.
C and D. Very good. So C and D are gone because they had -3s. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to type these into the computer. And so we're going to have to go plug these in. Now, those of you that are not familiar with this calculator, okay? So first off, if you have been at school, this calculator should be downloaded to your computer, okay? You know, even if you're not using it right now, you're watching me, that's fine. If you do not have this calculator downloaded, you need to go up to the school and sit in the parking lot and log in because we will only use this calculator from here on out. I won't even make.
Do I have that?
You should.
Good. Yes, it should be on your desktop, just like mine is. Okay. If you don't have it, then you need to let me know because we need to send in some stuff. And then I'm not too worried about you, Chastity, because I know you're coming back. But when you get back to school, we need to make sure we do something to get that downloaded to your computer.
Hey, I need you to put it on mine, my laptop.
Okay.
I got it.
So yeah, if you got it, then you can use it. Now, you guys are in class, y'all know how to use it. Those of us that are solely remote, you need to make sure that you are getting on this calculator, like after we get done, and you need to play with it and do some of the things we do with this. If you were in class, we force kids to plug this into their calculators. And so if you're not practicing it, watching it just doesn't do enough. So anytime that we see this, there's only two buttons we really go to, and that's these two. So we're going to go to graphs because we had y equals. This is our y equals, and we're going to plug in 3x minus 27. So we're going to type in 3x minus 27. Now today I understand if you're just watching me, but when you get done, especially if you've never used this.
It's not opening, so I guess I'll just have to watch you.
Yes, and it takes the first time you open it, it takes like 15 minutes for it to open. But then after that, it'll open quicker. So yeah, today just kind of watch me. So after we type this in, we always hit menu 5-1, okay? And then it does bring up this tracer, but this is what we like. Now, this is not an answer. This allows me to change the X and type in the X right here, which is 9. So I'm gonna hit 9 and hit enter. And if that matches, this is my answer. So my answer is A because it says.
Hey, we're about to have a visitor. We got an AP coming in.
Okay.
Just letting you know. I'm letting her in now.
All right. So yes, A would be the answer right here. All right. So let's go take a look at this one. All right. What do we see here? Hold on one second. All right. What do we see that we like here?
Y equals.
We love to see y equals right here, okay? So we know that we can plug this into the calculator. All right, how do we know when we got our answer? So we're gonna type these into the calculator. What are we gonna look for?
We're gonna look for -4 and 3.
Very good, so we're typing these in and we're gonna see if these points match. All right, so I'm gonna write down this first one real quick so I don't have to flip back and forth, okay? So really quick. All right, so let's go type this into the calculator. So we go start a brand new graph. We're gonna type in control divide -1/7. So by the way, control divide gives you your fraction for those of you that aren't used to this calculator. X plus, and then control divide 18/7. All right, so we're gonna hit enter, and then what do we always hit?
Menu 5-1.
Good. So menu 5-1. This is not our answer. So we're looking for, we said -4. So we're going to type in -4 and hit enter. That does not match our point.
That's not it.
Not it. So what is the difference between A and B?
That they're both negative.
All right. So we're switching this to a minus right here. So now to do that, we're going to hit tab. We're not going to retype this. We're going to go up and then simply go over and take out the plus and switch that to a minus. This makes this go so much quicker. So then we hit menu 5-1 again. Does that match right there? -4, -2. Yes, that matches right there.
Yeah.
But we got to check both of these. So we're also going to type in 3. Does that match? Yes. So if both of these match, then this has to be my answer. So the rule is there are a million equations that have that point, but there's only one equation in the world that has both of these, and we just found it. Therefore, this is my answer. Those of you who failed your test, you didn't fail because you struggle with the algebra. You failed because you struggle with the calculator. So we've got to get really good at understanding this calculator. All right. So anytime we have slope, so we're going to draw the slope guy real quick. And is this positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. So we can eliminate the two positives. Then we're going to go from one point to another point, and we're doing rise over run, which makes our L. You always do the rise first. So we got to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1, 2, 3.
4/3.
Very good.
Very
So
good.
4/3 would be B. And I'm going to go kind of fast because I'm running out of time here. So, but a lot of this stuff is a little bit easier. So hopefully we can go fast. All right. So This will be new to a lot of y'all. And for some of y'all, you might have forgotten how to do this. This is just a basic equation. We cannot do this under graphs, but we can do this.
Is that
under-
an insolve?
Very good, insolve. And you get insolve by doing menu 3-1. So those of you who have not used this calculator, you'll have to practice menu 3-1. And then you just type in the equation. So it's minus 12 equals minus 3 parentheses minus 2x minus 1 minus 2x minus 1 close parentheses minus x. And then what do we got to put at the end?
Comma X.
Comma x. The comma says you're done. The x says we're looking for x. And our answer is negative.
Negative 3.
All right. So the answer here would be A. All right. This one. Anytime you see two letters that are back to back, the two letters become a Y. I don't care what the two letters are. So can we plug this one under graphs? Yes. So we're going to go type this in. So -5, I'm sorry, not negative. It's 5 or 2 over 5 x right here, x, not r, plus 18. So we're going to go, this is y equals. So we go to graphs. We're going to go control divide, and it's 2 over 5. We have to put in x, not an r, plus 18. Hit enter. We always hit menu 5-1. Now they give us a random number, 10. We're going to type in 10. So we're going to type in 10, hit enter. And if I type in 10, what's the answer?
22.
22. So the answer here would just be 22.
Hey, this is one of those that's not going to be on their graph because it's plus 18. When they type it in, they won't see a line.
Yes, so that's why we always hit menu 5-1. Very good. So when you hit enter, nothing popped up. You always hit menu 5-1 after you hit enter. Make sure you hit enter first. And if you don't see anything, hit menu 5-1 and the graph will pop up. All right. So right here, we've got, what's the key word here?
Range, and it's negative.
Now remember with range, what letter is range?
Oh wait. Huh?
What letter does range go with?
Y.
Y.
It's Y's. So, and you're right about this being negative, but what they want to know is the range, which means that we're cropping, and we're cropping the y-axis. And so can I crop the bottom right here?
Yes.
What is that right there that he's pointing at?
What did I circle?
Oh, that's it's not.
Yes, it's an arrow. So we can't crop an arrow because an arrow means it keeps going, right? So we can't
Not
crop.
function. I think it's. I don't know.
No, wait, okay, you're thinking about if it's a function. But what we're trying to do is when you take a picture in your phone and you crop the picture, we're trying to get rid of the excess stuff up here. Okay? But we can't get rid of the excess stuff down here because there's an arrow. Okay? So we can't crop that. Stupid thing's not letting me. There we go. All right, but we can crop the top up here. So you see how we got all this excess stuff up here? We can crop this picture right here. And so what number do we hit when we crop this picture right here?
8.
8. So we can get rid of A and we can get rid of C. Okay. Now, the difference between these two is it an open
The circle. It's an open
very
circle.
good.
Yes, very
Open
good.
circles is the one time we don't put an equal to bar. So what's the answer?
D.
D.
Very good. D. All right, I know we're almost at time, but give me a second. We're going to get through this last few parts very quickly. All right. So first off, we just got through saying a while ago that this is slope right here. Okay. So if the slope is 2, if we do the perpendicular, we have to flip it and change the sign. So this is a positive. It's going to switch to a negative.
A negative.
And if we flip it, it's negative 1/2.
-2.
So what's the answer?
C.
C.
Okay, and I'm sorry I'm going through this so quickly, but I'm running out of time and we just got 2 more. All right, if you are going to do this question. When they say parallel to the x-axis, you have to draw a picture. Here's the
They have to
x-axis.
be equal to each other.
Okay.
Very
All right.
good.
Very good. They have to be parallel. So I have to be like this, right? Now, the slopes would be the same, right? They would be equal. But when we're drawing a picture, they have to be parallel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is the slope? This
Zero.
dude, is he, what's the slope of this line right here?
You're right, Raul.
0.
0. So if it's 0, we connect to Hoy. And in Hoy, the O right here, okay, means 0. What does the Y mean?
Y-axis.
Y-axis.
It's everything Y. Y-axis, Y coordinate, everything Y. There are no X's in this at all. And then how do I know which one it is? It's the Y
Because of the
coordinate.
Y.
Everything Y. So what's the answer here?
D.
D.
Okay, because it's everything Y. It has to be Y equals. It's the Y coordinate. It's everything Y. Very good. All right, last question right here. I am so sorry I went over my time. This is your 5-minute passing period. If you need a tardy slip, just let me know. We'll write you a tardy slip. All right. So perpendicular to the y-axis. So here's the y-axis. Okay. Perpendicular now crosses this and forms a 90-degree angle. So this is my new line. Well, once again, what's the slope of this dude right here?
0.
0.
So this is Hoy. Once again, it connects to the Y. It's everything Y. So no X's, no X's. How do I know which one?
D.
The Y.
Is it
Very
D?
good. D. It
Yeah, very
connects
good.
with the Y coordinate. The answer is D. And we are done. You guys did awesome.